you can recruit quarterbacks by saying you got all these wide receivers, or you can recruit wide receivers by saying, look at this quarterback or two that we just recruited and signed, and so forth and so on. Offensive linemen, though, I wonder how you get them in. I don't know if you get them in by saying, hey, we got these great quarterbacks and wide receivers. I don't know if they really care.
Kevin.
Just certain positions are connected, and you can use that as leverage. I don't know if you can do that at the offensive line position.
You're on mute.
All right, I'm sitting and wanted to get on the mic. But everybody wants to, be on a winning team and be on, the best offense in the history of a program or whatever. So, I think offensive line certainly is going to take a lot out of that. I mean, no, it's not as much of saying, well, the commitments of Tate and Ennis make me suddenly more excited about Ohio State in terms of what my routine is going to be. But then again, as I said, everybody wants to be on a winner. Everybody wants to be part of the hot program. So, there's something to be said about it, but offensive line is always something we're going to have to circle back to in terms of recruiting and looking at some of those things. And, we're going to have a big weekend of visits coming up here in terms of what offensive line may look like. I mean, they certainly have some plan B guys that, that they're keeping warm and whatnot, but, you have to be able to land those plan A guys, because offensive line recruiting has not been consistent through the years. I mean, they still go out and get the Paris Johnsons of the world. They still go out and get the Donovan Jacksons of the world. But then you also go out and get some of these guys that are going to be 2, 3, 4-year projects. And, we've seen a lot of movement through the portal. So, this is going to be a year where I was talking with Mark at the camp, and Mark Givler from Buckeye Scoop. And, I really think this is going to be a class where they're going to have to shoot for a 28-man class and just kind of let the numbers fall where they may, because you're going to have to make some roster decisions coming up. And offensive line is really the one that I think that the most people are going to have their feet to the fire, because, I'm just going to be honest, the end of the Greg Studrawa recruiting era kind of ended on a little bit of a whimper. So you better be able to produce, or you better be ready to get into that portal.
Yeah, there's guys there that are never going to play. And so the era today is you replace them with guys who may be able to, and unless you're going to go to the portal and grab somebody who can play. But yeah, I'm with you, Kevin. You go get as many as you want, especially given that the limits are kind of, I believe they've lifted the 25-man limit for this year and next or something like that, or they're going to. They'll still have like the 85-man limit, but they're going to take the limit off of classes so that teams can catch up. So this is going to be one of those things where you expect players to leave via the portal, so you do everything you can so that when you're kicking off that first game, you're at 85 scholarships, and it's not because you gave 4 to walk-on seniors.
So most of the success of wide receiver recruiting is obviously hardline, but then there's an extension that is obviously the quarterback recruits and signees that they get are going to lure great wide receivers, and then Ryan Day's offense is attractive. I wonder if this, how much pressure this puts on other coaches when they see a guy just tearing it up, and let's be honest. I think they've got talent in other positions on the field. So it's not like it's just wide receiver you and that's all they got going for themselves. But still, with lacking in other positions, how much pressure this puts on other coaches to step it up.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there. As I said earlier, there are positions where they need difference makers yesterday to try and win a national championship. I was at the camp yesterday. One of the old-time guys who shows up there said you could watch Georgia and just see what the difference was in that team. They had guys on the defensive line who changed the line of scrimmage, and Ohio State just didn't have that. So if you want to take that last step and win the national championship, you got to have those kind of difference maker type players, and Ohio State last couple of years just hasn't had those. So to my way of thinking, there is room to continue to improve this program. And you put it in a way, you know, that if he can get great offensive skill position players there, quarterback, wide receivers, there's no reason why they can't get great players across the board at every position. And that's kind of goes back to what I was saying a moment ago. I don't know what the names are. I don't know what the rankings are, but they need blue chip guys at every other position to follow suit. And that's when you'll have a championship team on your hands, in my opinion.
But Ohio State also can be its own success because you sit there and you look at Bosa and Young, and it's like, why isn't Zach Harrison, Bosa and Young? Well, you know, we're talking about generational type of players. You know, one was a Heisman finalist. The other two probably should have been Heisman finalists. So I think that I agree wholeheartedly with what Steve's saying. I mean, it is Jimmy's and Joe's in a lot of regards, but I think that some of the disconnect, though, too, was just that the scheme was not right. I mean, I think it was once Jeff Hafley left for Boston College, you know, and this isn't, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm still very friendly with Kerry Combs. I'm not speaking ill of Kerry Combs, but I think it was a case of he was given a hand. He was dealt a hand of Ryan Day saying, I want cover 1, cover 3, even though you're not really, you know, that's not what you've come up in. And Kerry Combs and Matt Barnes trying to do their best with it. I think we're going to see some of these guys that maybe people are a little leery of, maybe a little lukewarm on. I think we're going to see them do a lot better with a more, you know, with a scheme that is better suited to what it is that Ohio State's been recruiting to what Ohio State is about defensively. And I was talking to somebody who had a conversation with defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, and kind of the gist of their conversation was Jim Knowles is like, you know what, let everybody kind of keep sleeping on us. We're not that bad. I mean, we've got the guys. It's just a matter of putting it all together. So, you know, it's not a case of them not having the guys, but to Steve's point, moving forward, you have to keep replenishing the cover. You have to keep bringing those guys in. You know, you do want to be able to get some blue guys and things like that, but you've got to be able to go out and get the Caleb Downs of the world. You have to be able to go out and get those types of players. Todd Bowles, the linebacker, just a couple off the top of my head. So, you know, we shall see.